Okay, so here's our second video. This one's going to be on comparative advantage. So we've got the same basic setup we had it for the competitive advantage video. Same example from the book. Now I'm going to actually use the numbers that they have in the book to illustrate this. And so now, again, it's Gwen and Blake from The Voice, and they're making pizza and wings, and this is the two goods in their simple economy. And now Gwen has the ability to produce, if she spends her whole day making pizzas, she makes 60 pizzas for 120 wings. A lot bigger numbers than what I have, but still all we need to have is some possibilities here. And Blake can make 24 pizzas or 72 wings. Now, in terms of absolute productivity, we can see that Gwen's is actually better at making both goods than Blake is. Gwen can make 60 pizzas, Blake can only make 24. Gwen can make 120 wings, Blake can make only 72. So Gwen is better than Blake in this example. But even in this case, where Gwen can make both of these goods better than Blake can, Gwen can be made better off by specializing and trading with Blake. And Blake will be better off too. They will both be better off if they specialize in trade. So this is what we know, this is what's known as only comparative, or what we'd call relative advantage. And for comparative advantage, to see who has the comparative advantage, we have to look at the opportunity cost. The opportunity cost of producing, in our two-good economy like this, the opportunity cost of making one of the goods is not making the other one. So if Gwen makes a pizza, she gives up the wings that she could produce otherwise. So in the time, if Gwen takes her whole day to make 60 pizzas and can make 120 wings in the entire day, then if she takes, it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So if she takes enough time to make a pizza, she must have been able to produce 2 wings or make 2 wings during that time. So I'm going to put some numbers here next to this. And these are going to be the opportunity cost. So Gwen's opportunity cost of making a pizza would be 2 wings, the 2 wings that she could have made in that time. Now, Blake, 24 and 72, 72 is 3 times 24. So Blake's opportunity cost of making a pizza would be 3 wings. In the time that it would take him to make a pizza, he could have made 3 wings. So his opportunity cost of making a pizza is 3, Gwen's is 2. Now, if you come over here, the opportunity cost of wings is pizza. So for Gwen, the opportunity cost of making a wing would be the 1/2 of a pizza that she could have made in that time. For Blake, the opportunity cost of a wing is 1/3 of a pizza. These are the opportunity costs. For comparative or relative advantage, you look at the opportunity cost. The person with the lower opportunity cost has a comparative advantage. So the opportunity cost of pizzas are 2 and 3. Gwen has the lower opportunity cost of making pizza. So this is going to tell us that she's going to need to specialize in making pizza. And then Blake has a lower opportunity cost of making a wing. Okay. So he's going to need to specialize to make wings. So yes, so just looking ahead to see what the numbers are again here. So that's going to tell us what we are. Blake's going to specialize in making wings. Gwen's going to specialize in making pizza. Now, we have to have some place for them to start from before they're going to trade. So if what we'll assume here, and these I'll just use the numbers that they have in the book. We'll assume that Gwen and Blake are both going to want equal numbers of the 2 goods to consume. And so for Gwen, assuming that they have linear production possibilities, Gwen could make 40 pizzas and then 40 wings. And to see that, to make 40 pizzas, she'd have to take 2/3 of her day to make pizza, and then she's got 1/3 of her day left to make wings. 1/3 of 120 is 40, so that would mean she could have 40 and 40. And Blake could have 18 and 18. Let me just say 18 to 18, because Blake would have to take 3/4 of his day to make 18 pizzas, and then he's got 1/4 of his day left, and 1/4 of 72 is 18. So if they are not trading with each other, if they are isolated and on their own, we'll use this as a jumping off point. Gwen could have, if they wanted to have equal amounts of the two goods, Gwen could have 40 pizzas and 40 wings. Blake could have 18 pizzas and 18 wings. So if we come over here and look at Gwen's PPF, it would be, was it 120 wings, 60 pizzas, and she'd be making a point here where she's at 40 and 40. Oops, this would be up here, 40 and 40 wings and pizzas. So that's where she would be at without specialization and trade. Now, we've already found out the direction of comparative advantage. So Gwen's going to make pizzas and Blake's going to make wings. So when they specialize and produce, Gwen will make 60 pizzas and no wings. Blake will make all wings, so he'll have no pizzas and then 72 wings. Okay, but before we see that they both wanted to have equal amounts of pizza and wings, so they probably wouldn't, Gwen probably wouldn't have 60 pizzas and no wings, but they can trade. Now, the numbers here don't work out quite so easily, but it would turn out to be, let me see, I gotta look at the numbers to make sure I have it here. If you trade 19 pizzas for 47 wings are the numbers that they have here. Why is that? Why not 19? Well, we want to make sure that both people end up with more of both goods. So Blake had 19 pizzas, or 18 pizzas before. So we don't want him to end up with more than that. So let's suppose he's going to trade 19 47 wings for 19 pizzas. So we'll take 47 away from 72. Blake's going to be left with 25 wings, and he gets 19 pizzas. So he'll have 19 and 25. Gwen trades away. Gwen gets 47 wings. She traded away 19 pizzas, so she'll be left with 41 pizzas, and then she'll get 47 wings. And again, we wanted to make that trade simply so that we can look here and compare before and after. We see that Gwen has more pizzas and more wings than she started with. Blake has more pizzas and more wings than he started with. So we can say, we can conclude that they both have to be better off. And again, the important point here is Blake only has comparative advantage. He does not have a competitive advantage. You think about it here, Gwen is better at both of these things than Blake is, but she's still better off specializing and trading with him. She's better off and Blake's better off. They're both better off. You don't have to have a competitive or absolute advantage. All you have to have is a relative advantage or comparative advantage. And if you're good with numbers, you can work this out to see this. It'll always turn out to be the case that one of the two, a two-person, two-good setup like this, each person is always going to have a comparative advantage in one of the two goods. Because if you see it, you see these opportunity costs are inverses of each other. So the opportunity cost for wings is 1 over the opportunity cost for pizza. And so if you can work through, if you're good with numbers and work that through, whoever has the comparative advantage for one of these goods, the other person will have the comparative advantage for the other good. And this is a big point to think about with the division of labor that we have in our economy. You don't have to be the best at something to have a role to play in the division of labor. So when you look at it and say like, oh, you have to specialize and try to be the best at something, that's not what's necessary for gains from trade. All you need to do is be relatively better at something than the other thing. And this is another point to take in mind. You might be absolutely best at something, but you might want to still not do it because you're relatively speaking, even better at something else. And another textbook uses the example of Martha Stewart, the I guess the interior design or home fix-up guru, and she's very good at cleaning and design and taking care of her house, maybe the best on the planet. But she's also very good at making books and videos about how to keep up your house. And so it would turn out for her, it would be better for her, even though she might be the best in the world at like cleaning and keeping house. It might be best for her to spend her time making videos and books about this and hire somebody else to clean her house. Because relatively speaking, her comparative advantages in making those, writing books and making videos about keeping house as opposed to actually doing it herself. So even if you are better at something than somebody else, you still might want to specialize and trade with them because it'll make both you and the other person better off. I mean, that's important to remember here. Blake is worse at both of these tasks, but he gains from specialization and trade too. They both work out and are better off from specialization and trade. There's a little bit of an aside from this if you want to think about it. It's not directly related to this course, but lots of science fiction movies or science fiction stories talk about like aliens coming to the Earth, and very often in these movies, the aliens, movies or stories, the aliens are very advanced, right? They have super great technology that's beyond anything that we have here. And they come to Earth and they're looking to enslave or destroy the human population and take over the Earth. If those aliens are so smart, how come they haven't learned about comparative advantage? And how come they wouldn't be willing to come in and trade, and let us specialize in something and trade with us as opposed to seeking to destroy or enslave us? Comparative advantage is a real thing. It's based, presumably, it would be how any advanced civilization is going to get to be advanced, because it's a specialization in the division of labor that allows a high standard of living. But yet we don't see that actually occur in very many science fiction stories. Maybe because it wouldn't be a very exciting plot. You wouldn't end up with like Independence Day, and Will Smith wouldn't have to blow up the alien ship to save us if they were going to trade with us. But it's just a thing to point out that maybe science fiction writers need to study more economics to realize that, like, well, comparative advantage means that even if you are more advanced, even if you are better at something than somebody else, you can still benefit from trading with them as opposed to attempting to conquer or destroy that civilization. So it would also apply to trade between human civilizations and presumably alien civilizations. But that's just an aside. But comparative advantage is really the basis of specialization and the division of labor in our economy.